Hello, everybody. Welcome to Captive Audience. Don Anderson here, and Sonny Danforth. How you doing, Sonny?
I'm doing pretty good. Pretty
All
good.
right, all right. We have dry weather here today on the west side, which is kind of nice. We know it could change at any moment, but it's nice to be dry and nice to be not freezing, right?
Yes, it is. We don't have any snow on the ground, and it's right now. I had some sprinkles earlier today. I could hear it on the skylights. So it's been a nice day though, actually. I was out doing errands and it was a nice day in the 40s, like about 43,
Mhm.
44.
Yeah,
Yeah.
days are starting to get longer. I noticed when I usually leave the house right at around 7, and it used to be just pitch black, and now the sun is kind of creeping up, and you know, uh, uh, we're not out of the woods yet, but spring is coming, right?
Spring is coming, and those rodents that try to do the prediction, apparently are saying it's going to be early spring.
Well, I like those rodents,
We'll
you know.
see.
Yeah, we got 535 of them in DC, so that's another story. I'm sorry, I couldn't resist.
That was good.
What a nice segue, though, into we'll start. I thought we'd start with some good news today. Then we'll get into the crazy news. Then we end on good news. And the good news, I thought one of the coolest stories I saw this morning was the fact that Tucker Carlson is interviewing Putin. Now that had been rumored for a while because he'd gone to Moscow, and of course the legacy press is losing their mind because of course it's traitorous to go speak to the evil Putin, right? So this morning there was I saw it was a brief blur from Tucker himself saying that yes, it's true. He's going to interview, Putin. I just think it's like fantastic. What are your thoughts on that, Sonny?
Well, I think it's great too. And what's interesting, and I'm posting a story here right now because what is interesting is the left media, and instead of people calling it mainstream media, they're coming up with a new term for it, but it's escaping me at the moment. But the left media is calling him a traitor for interviewing Putin. And the thing is he's not. He has been interviewed by many people over the years. Barbara Walters in 2001. Reuters interviewed China's president, Xi Jinping, and Nicolas Maduro was interviewed by BBC in 2019. So this is just the thing is they aren't doing it,
Yeah. Well,
and
what it is yeah.
Tucker is unhindered, unfettered. He has no leash.
Well, they're afraid that they will lose control of the narrative, and rightly so, because
Yes,
all they wanted to do is paint Putin as the evilest guy on the planet and keep us from hearing anything Putin. Putin said a lot of things, and we never get to hear it. And traditional journalism in the United States has all been about talking to everybody and providing us with the information so we can make what you call an informed decision. I mean, over the years, we watched them go talk to people like they've talked to Idi Amin, right? They've talked
right.
to, Pol Pot. They've talked to, every leftist reporters have talked to all these people. Now, all of a sudden, nobody's allowed to talk to Putin. Now, why is that, you wonder? It's all about controlling the narrative, and they're afraid that Putin might say some things that make a lot of sense. And actually, he has, but yeah.
He has. And I have to tell you, in talking, when the whole Ukraine and the Ukraine conflict with Russia started, I was, well, one, when it was all getting built up, I go, why are we not doing something, stepping in on this, right? First of all,
Mhm.
it would never have happened under Trump. But um, things that Vladimir Putin was saying was resonating with some people.
Mhm.
And that is the narrative that they don't want you to hear. And so I'm seeing some other stories that this could be that Tucker's going to help change the narrative
Mhm.
on Ukraine. Ukraine, as we know, is a very has been very corrupt, and but yet some of the leaders there were trying to investigate the corruptness. And if you recall, Biden, even in his own words on video, said, oh yeah, I told him, if you don't get rid of this investigator, you're not going to get the millions.
Mhm. Yeah, right.
I'm paraphrasing. And so I don't think it's all as the media would have us to believe.
Well, sure it is. Well, we all know the Ukrainian government, not the Ukrainian people, but the Ukrainian government is just
Yeah.
as corrupt as all get out. And what sense does it make for the Ukrainian people to be put in a position where the world's arguably second strongest nuclear power
Mhm.
is bombing them? I mean, this is crazy. An entire generation of their citizens are being wiped out so a bunch of arms dealers can make a bunch of money. That's pretty much what's happening here. The American people are not going to put troops on the ground there, and that's the only way they would even stand a chance against the Soviet Union, or I should say, against Russia. That's just nuts. It's their backyard. Why in the world does the West keep insisting on including Ukraine in NATO unless they want to start a war? Uh, they were very clear. The Russians were very clear that Ukraine's not going to NATO.
Well,
Yeah,
also, one of the reasons for them to bash Tucker is doing a journalist job.
right. Hmm.
Right? There's a huge lack. I won't say no, but there is a huge lack of honest to goodness journalism and that we are hearing about in our country, let alone the world.
Yeah,
And it's all these narratives that it's just talking points that people you can turn from one network to another network to another network and they're saying the very same thing, and we're not having independent journalism, and that's what Tucker Carlson is out there doing. Let's hear from him directly,
yeah,
and I think it's going to be great. I can't wait to hear it.
yeah. Oh, I think it could be one of the biggest interviews in history. Actually, I mean, so many
Yeah,
people are going to turn into that. And is it Twitter? They keep changing the names of these firms, but
it's
Elon
X,
Musk, X.
formerly Twitter.
Right. So they're gonna make it available for free. That
Yeah.
is absolutely huge. So the American people can make an informed decision. I think that is going to be a bomb. That might be as big as a big a draw as when Tucker left Fox. Um,
Well, exactly. Exactly. So I kudos to Tucker, and it's going to be very interesting. Tucker always does great interviews. He
mhm,
does his research. And he backs up whatever he is saying, you
mhm,
know. So I think it's old-fashioned journalism, and it's that frankly is refreshing that the
yeah.
truths get told and
Mhm.
the perspectives get shared by the people without an agenda from others.
Yeah, and people are increasingly recognizing that legacy media is just a mouthpiece for the radical
That's
left.
it. Legacy media. That's the term I was trying to think of.
That's it. Yeah, that's all they are. Um, and people are increasingly just tuning it out because they're lying. They've been demonstrated liars on a whole bunch of issues. So this is really great news. The breakup of the hold that legacy media has in the country, I think, is fantastic.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah, which is kind of a great segue to go into the whole border. And we know what it probably there's so many issues you could say are the most important issue, but that's got to be in anybody's top three. What's going on at the border? And we've got a Congress that can't seem to get this figured out. So border bill is dead on arrival. So it's not going forward, and I think for good reasons. The thing is loaded with multiple items like funding for Israel, funding for the Ukraine, a
Yeah.
bunch of other things. And the reason these people do these things is to uh, avoid an up and down vote on the issue, um, which I,
Yeah.
I think the president has all the power he needs to do what he needs to do in the border anyway. So this is just a cover. But yeah,
Well, it is. And I'm glad this border bill is looking like it's all failing, and
hmm,
as it should be, absolutely as it should be. There was looking like so many bad things in this. It was, in one article that I read, it was basically a big middle finger to the
hmm,
American people.
yeah, yeah. I
And
mean,
yet, and this is Mitch McConnell negotiating this. And
mhm.
it is time for Mitch McConnell to step down.
Oh, well,
He
it's been
needs to retire, step down, get the hell out of the way, and let's get somebody who really cares about America in there representing, being the Senate voice for the
time.
Republicans.
Yeah, it's been time for a long time. We have a lot of
Yeah.
rhinos. Let's put it that way,
Yes.
and there's still a long ways to go with those. Um,
Definitely. And and it's a speaking on the border, it's a shame that as of right now, Mayorkas has not been impeached.
Mm. And that's yeah,
But
and that's a great to that point. That should have been a no-brainer for the Republicans to every Republican line up behind it. And was there two or three of them who didn't vote for it, and that's why he remains.
so three didn't vote for it, and but Steve Scalise was out. He's was
Mhm,
not there. He was having doing some cancer treatment, and he'll be back. He will be back, but apparently they did a procedure that they can bring this bill back
mhm,
for another vote. And Marjorie Taylor Greene, I had seen a video with her
mhm,
stating that hopefully, maybe as soon as next week, bring this back when Steve Scalise is here.
mhm,
But and I think, well, then why did they hold the vote
mhm.
if they thought they didn't weren't going to pass it? Was it to expose those that will
Nope.
vote no? They'll
You
vote
know, it's
no
good.
anyway.
Yeah, because I'm looking at these names. So you have Gallagher from Wisconsin. So, I'm thinking about what his constituency might look like. I don't know. McClintock from California. You can guess what that might look like. And
Yeah.
you have Buck from Colorado. We know what Colorado looks like. So, but the good news here is that people need to know exactly who did this. So the next time their elections come around, whoever's running against them uh, can hold that up for the people to see. These are people who wanted your border to be wide open. There's no
Yeah.
other. There's no other way you can interpret that.
No, and I'll tell you, I'm very happy that our Republican representatives from Oregon voted in favor of impeachment.
Hmm.
So,
Right.
it wasn't us.
Hmm.
And I'm real glad of that. Kudos to our representatives, Cliff Bentz, that would be, and Lori Chavez DeReamer.
Hmm. Right. That's
That's,
yeah. I mean, even Democrats can see.
and
Well, the thing
the
is,
thing is Democrats are some of them are talking about this is an utter failure at the border. So you know what? But they will not go out of lockstep of their party to because all we needed was one more vote.
hmm,
One Democrat could have voted, but boy, would they have been skewered by the party, right?
yeah, yeah.
Skewered. But
Well,
these couple of Republicans, that didn't vote for to impeach him, they won't be so skewered,
well,
unfortunately. Maybe by their own who they represent. Maybe they will be.
yeah. And so you can guess how these things go down, right? So I'm sure these people aren't crazy. They probably look at their own constituencies, and if you're a Democrat and you're in New York, and the place is being like flooded with homeless, and your constituents are ticked, right? Same
Right.
with the Chicago, that sort of thing. You know,
Hmm.
by you make sure that the vote is structured a certain way, and so that you could vote for it, and then it still not pass because you had these people over here
Right,
who
right,
I'm not sure what their constituents look like. We're going to guess their geographies have not been destroyed by immigrants yet, right? So
right.
they could get away with that. They're more likely to be able to get away with that. And I would not doubt for one second if those kinds of strategic conversations aren't literally had. Come on, we weren't born yesterday.
No. No,
Those
no, we weren't.
conversations take place, right? We negotiated who was going to vote what, so who can cover this guy for this time around and the next time around, right? That's these people are
Yeah.
all about. They care not one whit for the American public. Their only job is to stay in office. That's how they view it.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. And I want to, along with RNC brought up something they did today: catch, release, and resettle. And this is a reminder that Biden inherited all the legal authority he needs to end the border crisis, but he's not interested in doing it. And so on Fox News, Mayorkas was with I can't remember the name of this guy's name, but anyway, he was being interviewed, and he was asked. Mayorkas was asked, "Would you accept the extra border funding on the condition that the funds could only be used for detention and removal of illegal immigrants, but not release into the country?" Mayorkas' answer was no,
Mhm.
no. And so I'll tell you, this is why he's got to go. because this is not taking care of America. We know it. It's blatant. And in fact, I heard something yesterday that Mayorkas is actually an author of the DACA program that we have.
Hmm.
I had no clue of that.
Yeah,
He's
and
this guy who's in charge of our border is an author of, or for sure a contributor of the DACA program. This is
yeah.
why they're flooding in. And this is why he wants the open border and in doing everything he can to have the open border.
Hmm.
And then I also heard in that same program I was watching on Newsmax that there are, we keep hearing about, oh, well, we've got 10 million now illegals in the country. That's only last year.
Hmm.
It is up to somewhere between 20 and 30 million illegal immigrants in this country.
Yeah. And we don't know who they are. We don't know where they are. We don't know anything. And we don't know, are there going to be sleeper cells? And we were all, look what happened. Look what 19 people did
Yeah.
back in 2001.
Right.
And now we got what, 30 million running around, and don't know who
Right.
they are. Um, I'm not saying they're all of that ilk. The vast majority probably are not, but you also have the pressures on the infrastructure, um, that puts into play. We
Yeah.
see resources, and you see these battles, and especially in inner cities around the country, where resources being shifted from naturalized American citizens to help people who aren't even citizens of anywhere. I mean, it's just there's no justification for it unless you're attempting to undermine the country.
100%. And that is, it's very clear. There's no question that that is what they want to do. And I'm going to post this other story it's from Fox News that, and this is back from January 8th of 2024, where Mayorkas tells the Border Patrol agents that more than 85% of illegal immigrants are released into the U.S.
Yeah.
They're not sent back.
Hmm.
And in December alone, they had 300,000 migrant encounters.
And see that's when you think about national security,
Yeah.
you have to think about national security in multiple ways. You can think of a national security threat in the traditional sense of a terrorist attack, right?
Hmm.
Remember, we're talking about an asymmetrical war that the radical left has unleashed in the country, and an asymmetrical war is not traditional. So yeah, you have the threat of terrorist attacks and all those kinds of things, but you've also got just the gradual destruction of the infrastructure. So the social systems network, the welfare support network, public education system, all of those things are being gradually destroyed.
Yeah.
Hospitals, how do we take care of these people? Yeah, the morality side. Now, every time there is a discussion around cost and funding, it becomes a morality play. So it's just on every level.
It
Um,
is.
is
It
is
is. And I read yesterday or today or very recently, I should just say it that way, that over in New York City, the mayor is saying, okay, all of these migrants, they're all getting credit cards.
Mhm.
You know, they're getting a debit card that's going to be
Mhm.
charged. He's spending millions, tens of millions of dollars. And the
Mhm.
citizens of New York, I love it because, I mean, I hate it, but I
Mhm.
love it because the citizens of New York are going, what the hell? What
Yeah.
about us?
Mhm.
What about our veterans? What about the homeless? What about us, the
Yeah.
tax-paying
Yeah.
citizens? So I think it's helping to wake people up more because it is hitting them.
No, and it's sad to say, but I always thought maybe there's two kinds of voters. There's the kinds of voters who basically vote just based on feeling, right?
Right.
So I feel, and that's the way I vote. Then there's the ones who vote based on evidence. I know if these kinds of programs or projects are put into place, I know this. I thought it through, and these are going to be the adverse impacts of that. A classic example would be like I love the minimum wage one because it's such a classic. Easy to get emotional. Can't make a living wage. Let's raise the minimum wage to like $25. That sounds great. It feels great. But the downstream impact is less people will be employed and businesses will go out of business in the areas that put those things into place. There was recently a case that was Pizza Hut in Southern Cal. They increased the minimum wage and they promptly got rid of their delivery service. Can't afford to do it anymore. So all those people. So now you got this great. They all feel good. All the virtue signalers can walk away and say, "Yeah, we raised the minimum wage," but 500 people lost their jobs. They're not around for that.
Mhm.
And that same mindset applies to that left, that not the radical left, but that general left wing voter who always votes Democrat because that's the way they were raised, the JFK people. And they won't change until they get hit right in the face. And that's what's happening with these what do they call these sanctuary cities? Now your city is a sanctuary city. That felt good for the last 10 years, running around screaming you're a sanctuary city and putting those ridiculous yard signs in your yard. But now that those same people now you're actually being able to act like a sanctuary city, the migrants are putting tents in your front yard. Now you don't want that. And now
Right.
you get it. And
Look at Martha's Vineyard. When they got shipped there, they shipped them right out
they
immediately.
couldn't get them out of there fast enough.
No, they couldn't. Oh, we want to help these people. I'm sorry,
No, we want to help them on somebody else's dime. You know,
Right.
when the left finally feels the impact of what they're voting for, that's when they'll change. And it's too bad we all have to go through this pain so they can get to that point.
Hmm.
But I
Yeah.
think that's where as usual, hubris, they overreach. And now people are responding to that, and they may lose that. For example, they may lose that inner city Black and Hispanic vote forever, or at least for a couple of generations. It might be gone.
Yeah.
I don't know that the polling is telling us really, because people don't respond to polls anymore. They don't trust them anymore. So, but if you look around on the street and you see these interviews in the street, it looks like they've lost them. It's going to be very interesting to see how that actually turns out.
I saw I don't know, a screenshot or something about a black rapper guy that
Mhm.
actually, what I had read this on social media, he had several years ago like blasted Trump.
Mhm.
Now he's going, you know what? This guy might be the ticket because of look at what's happening. And this, these are the artists have a lot of influence.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
there's many that are Trump
The,
supporters.
the influencers in Black culture are actually starting to say out loud, which you had to whisper in quiet a year ago. They were thinking about it a year ago. Now people are saying it out loud. That is a huge shift. Um, and I don't think that's a recoverable shift. That's a multi-generational shift.
Yeah. Yeah, that's it. Snoop Dogg. That's who it was. I was
Mhm.
trying to think of who it was. Thank you,
Yeah,
Haley.
and he's not the only one. I'm not. I don't
Right.
follow that much, but I see these things, right?
Yeah.
And every time you see that, people on the street are like, now they're saying it out loud.
Yeah. Yeah. Actually, it is. It's good having this shift. And so it's kind of like what you just said. There's when it gets painful enough, the shift or the change will happen. And so for some, it is. And more people are just waking up to the fact of, I mean, golly, look at
Yeah.
Biden. The guy he can't put two sentences together, you
Oh,
know?
yeah. Not to even not to mention that part. He's incapacitated. I mean, that's like a whole. He's clearly incapacitated. And I hate to even. It feels almost immoral to pick on a guy who is, he should be in like a nursing home almost, right?
It is
But
elder abuse. It is a senior abuse,
right,
what's happening to him.
yeah, yeah. But
In
you look at
fact,
things.
let me
People know.
segue into something on Biden
Mhm.
because I have an article here from the Epic Times, and Biden on Sunday bragged about defying the Supreme Court on the student debt cancellation
Mhm.
and claims it's no cost to the taxpayers, which that's a crock of bull. But because the Supreme Court ruled and blocked the debt forgiveness. Oh, well,
Mhm.
I got to work around that.
Mhm.
Is that who you want in office? Hell
Well,
no.
well, the whole thing, and that is such. Again, this goes back to the lack of principles and the immorality associated with that party. So we're gonna now clearly this college debt thing is as a throwaway to people who have a lot of money already.
Right.
The working class or the lower class kid whose family is in a blue collar job or whatever, they're now subsidizing wealthy kids to go blow off 4 years on a drinking binge and come out 100K in debt and get it forgiven. Um, and then they allegedly are going to get out and make more money. I mean, how unprincipled is that?
Exactly.
Most of them doing things that have no value anyway, as we all know, as the value of the college degree is being dramatically diminished because of these very things. Um,
Yeah, and so here goes a 5 billion. In December of 2023, Biden forgives another 4.8 billion in student debt. But
yeah.
by gosh, it didn't cost us anything.
But I saw something. This is not original, so I don't want to come across like I'm because at this point, wherever I read it, the guy was brilliant. When he said people aren't forgiving loans for people who invested money to start a new business. People aren't forgiving loans for some guy who bought a tractor so he could make his construction company go better. People aren't forgiving loans for people who have mortgage payments. They're not forgiving all those people's loans. People, good, hardworking citizens, are doing something that is of value, but we're going to forgive the loan to somebody who hasn't done anything yet. Um,
They're also not forgiving loans of people that are going through cancer, their medical treatments.
right, right, yeah. And if there's anybody I was going to forgive a loan for, it'd be those people.
Yeah. Yeah.
But we're forgiving it so people can have a drunken 4-year binge. Go figure.
Right. Right. All right. What else you got, Don?
Yeah, so I thought this was interesting when I pulled up. We talked about this a little bit earlier about state of Missouri and
Mm-hmm.
the Attorney General and that whole issue around Planned Parenthood. So, just high level, apparently, what Planned Parenthood is doing is so in Missouri, abortions must be illegal for minors. So, in order to get around that, what Planned Parenthood is doing in order to keep their revenue stream high is they're taking these minors and shipping them to other states so
Mm-hmm.
they could have their abortions without parental notification. It's beyond the pale. I mean, you really, really, words can't speak. But that's what's going on there. And is it you were saying Project Veritas had them on video doing this?
Yes, so I just posted from live action of December 24th of 2023 is a video from Project Veritas, and they did an undercover video, and this person is gone into them and saying, hey, what do I need to do? The male investigator is inquiring about obtaining an abortion for a 13-year-old girl. So you can watch the video, okay? The footage has not yet been released at the time of this article's publication, but you can go and find it. And the video highlights with the ease with which the abortion industry partakes in potentially breaking the law and trafficking girls for abortion. And Missouri law states those 13 years old and younger cannot consent to sex with anyone. And those ages 14, 15, and 16 cannot consent to sex with someone who's more than 4 years older. And in addition, Missouri's law states that no minor, period, no minor may consent to an abortion. So Planned Parenthood is required to report the sexual abuse of 13-year-olds. And in Kansas, where Planned Parenthood was going to send the girl for an abortion, the age of consent is 16 and parental consent is required. So really, this video shows that Planned Parenthood doesn't care about the law.
Well, and the whole thing too is, yes, it's important we have laws, but morality is written on the human heart. And I
Yeah.
don't have to have laws telling me ages to know that that's just wrong, right? Without parental consent, that's just wrong. Abortions for someone who's not, of legal age, that's just on the face of it wrong. Shipping somebody out of state in order to make that happen, that's just wrong. And you got to ask yourself that question, you
Yeah.
know, with all of this in the air, why not just wait and then uh, turn the baby over for adoption? You know, and the reason is because these people make money on this. I mean, it's just
They
that's
do.
clearly what's going on. And if more people really knew the history of Planned Parenthood, and I'm kind of shocked at people who don't. I had a debate with a friend of mine who was a professor And I was telling her about the history of Planned Parenthood. She had like no idea, and basically was telling me that's not true. I said, "Well, go look it up. It's amazing they haven't taken it off Google." But Hitler used to quote her. She corresponded with him. He got all of his ideas from him. She called people human weeds. We need to get rid of them. Extremely radically racist. And if you look at the numbers, if you don't believe the subjective accusation, look at the objective results. 33% of abortions in this country are on Black women, only represent 12% of the population. Is out of whack with regard to Hispanic population as well. It's not quite that bad, but it's something like 20% or something, right? And it's inordinately with the whites who get abortions. It's like the poor. It's like the poor whites who are getting it. Those are the human weeds they want to get rid of. Upper class people aren't having these abortions. Upper class white people aren't having these abortions. Well, upper class black people aren't having them either. It's it's the bottom of the socioeconomic scale, especially minorities, that they want to get rid of. And they've been caught on video. I think this was another one of those Project Veritas, where they caught them conversing, some people in the upper echelons of Planned Parenthood. And they basically said their goal is to reduce the population of people who are less than desirable. And they're doing it. And look at where they locate their clinics. They're not putting them in Bellevue, Washington. They're not putting them in the Palisades in California.
No, no, they're not. No, they're not.
We know what neighborhoods they're going in. Basically, find a street in any major city named Martin Luther King, and within like 5 miles, you'll find a planned abortion clinic. That tells you all you need to know.
So, and in this, it is, and it's really, it's sick because this person is telling the investigator here what they have to do. If you're trying to do it without parental consent, you need to call because they need a bypass. So that's a bypass, okay? Mm-hmm. A judicial bypass is when a minor is permitted by a judge to have a secret abortion. But, and she says, so the investigator says, what's a bypass? And this woman, Lashana, says, just not letting the parents know. So I can just bring her in and we can just take her to across state lines. Yeah. You just, you can. And then another one is they say a doctor's note. We just use a doctor's note to cover for the teen being taken out of state without parental permission.
Yeah, it's unreal. I mean, think about
it is unreal.
Yeah. Once upon a time, when was the last time you heard the term statutory rape, by the way?
Oh, yeah. Like a long time ago, maybe when I was in high school.
Nobody enforces that anymore. I mean, clearly, dollars to donuts, these are cases of statutory rape. And they're not even bothering trying to pursue that and get these people who are doing this.
Yeah, or incest, too. It could be even that.
Right, right. Or both.
Yeah.
To go down the ugly hole, but the lack of willingness to prosecute this stuff is just, again, it's just horrendous.
And yet Missouri has put on the books the laws that, like they're to be notified if a child is pregnant. Mm-hmm. And here's an agency that it's not doing that, notifying them, because then some of these things could be stopped, but if it's one of those, they're not following that. So it's.
But if you think about it, Planned Parenthood aligns perfectly with the goal of the one world government people to remake 100%. Society to be the way they want it to look. So there's certain people we want to get rid of, Down syndrome, minorities, poor people, right? We want to get rid of those people, right? We want to reduce the population. We want but not for everybody, right? We want to reduce the population for certain people, which, okay, that's exactly it. I don't want to use the word Hitler very often, but that's precisely what he did. That's precisely what he said. He did exactly that. They're just being more sophisticated. They're not driving around with gas trucks like Hitler did. They're much more sophisticated than that. In fact, what's so slick about it is people go to the gas trucks of their own volition, and they make money on it. I mean, Hitler wasn't making money on it. He would if he could get back. If he could come back, he would say, "That's brilliant."
Right.
They're killing themselves.
Yeah.
Same with Margaret Sanger. But
exactly,
this stuff will come to light. it will come to light.
It will. It will. More has been brought to light, thankfully, from investigative reporters, and that's bring it out, because the people that work there, be it undercover government employees or Planned Parenthood or whatnot, they speak the truth, and this person that is being interviewed is the managing director at the Planned Parenthood in Kansas City, Missouri.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a huge moral decay, as you say,
Mm-hmm.
for sure.
And was it to keep, truth is like, hey, when you shine the light, the cockroaches run. And
So
we
what
just
else you got,
keep
Don?
shining the light, right?
Yes,
So yeah, so
that's what we're doing.
gosh, I guess that brings us to the Rona news, right?
Ronna McDaniel. Well, or what about Haley, or either one? I don't care.
Yeah, Haley. So what's new with Haley besides she still won't step down?
Well, I'll tell you, in Nevada's primary yesterday, the hilarious part is she loses over 2-1. Nikki Haley
Mm-hmm.
loses over 2-1 to the none of these candidates on the primary ballot.
That's right. I heard that.
It is
Unbelievable.
crazy. And so I'm going to post this article from the Epic Times because it has the picture of the, none of the candidates. It's like it has a picture of what the vote is. And so it was none of these candidates was number one. It was number one on the ballot, but it was 63.3%. And Nikki Haley got 30.4%. Over 2-1 of people voted for none of these candidates. Those are Trump voters, because Trump wasn't on the ballot.
Right. Yeah.
I think that's about it, how it's going to go nationwide. 60-40.
Yeah. Even when they're not on the ballot.
Right. Right.
Anyway.
And then I think it's tomorrow I believe it is tomorrow is the caucus where Trump is in the caucus and Haley is not.
Mm-hmm.
And the caucus is who decides. So, right. There's your sign, Haley. Exactly. But she's, maybe she'll drop out after she gets wiped up with the floor from South Carolina. And at about the same time, maybe Ronna McDaniel will step down after North Carolina.
Well, it's increasingly evident. You'd ask yourself, so why is she still in this race? The only logical reason can be to hurt Trump. There's zero chance of winning, like zero, right? And you keep running anyway. We know where all of her funding comes from.
Yeah.
And you have to think to yourself, too, for the folks who are funding her, we know that their strategy is to try to get Trump, taken out. At some point, they say, well, this strategy isn't working. We got to go focus on something else. So I think all of those things, along with her ego, are going to cause her to pull out. It doesn't matter, though. We can see it doesn't matter.
No, it doesn't. And I don't even think it's to hurt Trump, because she's not hurting Trump. But I have an article here from PJ Media, and it's Stephen Green, and he wrote this morning, I know just what's next for Nikki Haley. And what he says is, he says, mark my words. He says, this is not the voice of a woman who cares if she ever wins another primary or another election with Republican voters. He says, Haley is auditioning for her future role as a Republican, offensively bashing other Republicans on MSNBC and CNN or some other lefty outlet. He says, quote, you'd think that there would be a glut of robers by now, forcing wages down, but it seems that the demand is unlimited. So I'll bet next month's mortgage payment that Haley is looking forward to joining their ranks of the Republicans that are bashing other Republicans.
He's probably right. I mean, she'll be out there with Liz Cheney, right?
Right, exactly. So, it is not, she also is, maybe she's still getting more money,
Mhm.
campaigning. I don't know. But she's not hurting Trump. And I do believe it's going to be about a 60-40 deal and across our nation. That's,
Yeah, I think it's going to be increasingly evident as we move forward. People have had enough exposure to rhinos now to know what they are and know what they look like. And that will be another interesting thing that comes out of all of this stuff. Because the reality is, yeah, Trump had or two-party system. Trump had to run it one part or the other.
right.
Both parties, the Democrat Party's run this off the cliff, and a lot of people in the Republican Party are like they're on the take too, and and they're just going along for the ride. So, uh, so
Yeah.
finally, I think Trump will be positioned uh, to help push, getting Republicans to be Republicans, or at least people who vote Republican to realize that the R doesn't necessarily mean they're Republican. Let's put it that way. Um,
Yes. You
and
know,
we got to get rid of the fake ones.
well, we have to, and they're showing their colors. And like I've said before, I've known for years that Nikki Haley was a never Trumper, and she's not the person. There's a time, this is the thing. You time and again look up to somebody and go, wow, you know what? They speak really well. I think they're doing a really good job.
Hmm.
And then find out, oh no. Oh, there goes another one. Nope, just another rhino
Yeah.
looking out for themselves and really not looking out for their country. And we
Well,
need
we have,
people that want to what is in America's best interest, not just their self-interest.
most Americans, and this is true probably most people around the globe, though. We're fooled by packaging, and people can put on a suit and
Yeah.
speak. Well, look at Obama, right?
Oh
Look at
yeah,
the
he's
package.
a prime example.
Yeah, the package is gorgeous. I mean, let's face it. He's good looking, right? He
Right.
speaks well. you know, Wife is good looking, right? Kind of like the Return of Camelot. A lot of people like, the Jackie Kennedy, John Kennedy thing. People like the packaging, and they will vote for the packaging. You think about the people who are never Trumpers. What don't they like? They don't like the packaging. They're not looking at the substance. That's why I think one of the great things that we see happening more and more, people learning to look past the packaging and look at the content. And I have to refer to the guy in Argentina, for example, who's a classic example of that. You know, that's not a pretty package, but the content's awesome.
Yeah, no kidding.
Right.
Millet, Javier Millet.
Javier Millet. Right, right.
Yes.
Yeah. And, we need to be looking more at the content of the package. Um, does this guy's values align with ours?
Yeah.
Does his policies align with policies that make sense? Are
Smart
they?
business people that have actually had to sign the front side of the check.
Yeah, I don't care if your hair is messy.
Right.
I don't care
Right.
if you don't wear a tie, right? Just don't care about this stuff. Don't care if you're not eloquent, right? You know, what are your policies? What is your track record? Um, you know, uh, you know, are you about small
Absolutely.
government, right? You got to be able to speak to those things. Are you about rule of law?
Absolutely. So, hey, I just posted another story. I referred to Ronna McDaniel, and it has been all over that. Oh my gosh, she's going to step down. Well, maybe not. And so this is from PJ Media this afternoon, that Ronna McDaniel may not be resigning as RNC chair after all. And there is so much speculation going on here, but she did send a message out. And Steve Bannon was cited an internal RNC email, and it's in this article here that I just posted. That he says, no, I'm not going anywhere. We're fighting, and we're fighting for the Republicans. We got to win, and blah blah blah. And we've got all these lawsuits, 77 election lawsuits across 23 states. We have more lawsuits to do and whatnot. Well, then another article that I have says, you know what? I think she's probably going to resign after the South Carolina primary. And some are even suggesting that she that Trump then, in one of the articles, Trump is they're saying, well, Trump can just, put anybody in there that he wants. Well, actually he can't. That is a voting body that is represented by every state. He is the leader of the party, but yet, in my viewpoint, but yet he hasn't officially won the nod. But for me, he's the leader of the party and always has been since he was our president. And so there would be an election, and I'll tell you, it's a shame to even be there. Some that we're here, because she should have been out when they had the elections. And people quit when she got reelected. The donors dried up. And even Ronna McDaniel had said, we don't need those nickel dime, the small donors, $5, $10. Oh, yes, you do.
Yeah.
And so there are, some are saying, well, you know what? And Trump, actually, I saw him on a video. He was on Newsmax, and he was asked the question. I think it was with Rob Schmidt. Don't quote me, but I think it was with Rob Schmidt, and said that Rob had asked Trump, well, are you, is going to ask her to resign or what? And he said, I think she knows we need change. And Rob had said, well, there was another interview. I can't remember who this interview was with, where they asked him, well, the RNC is so down on funding, donations. And Trump says, well, we're not. Yeah. We've got money, So maybe they'll keep her as a figurehead, but she's not the one running what's going on.
And maybe she's just irrelevant at the end of the day. Kind of like Nikki Haley. I mean, the media is making them relevant, but are they really? Maybe they're just not. And Trump he's fooled a lot of people a lot of the time. Maybe he knows something the rest of us aren't thinking.
Yeah. And it's when you see at what she has spent money on, and the donations have dried up. I know I quit giving. I give to the candidates, and I talked about that last week. And when they're mismanaging money, why give them money?
Well, probably a lot of people have come to the same conclusion. I keep hearing that from more people. Just go give directly to the candidate. I hear that in my personal life all the time. Give directly to the candidate.
So I posted some articles there about her. We'll see what happens. But there are so many people in the Republican Party that want her to step down, and frankly, she's done. Why do you don't keep doing the same thing and expect different results? She has cost us 6 elections that we are losing seats. We've lost control of the Senate. We lost the presidency. And it is not about the candidates. It is about her and her denying the money, because she has purse strings that when state parties ask for funding and she says, sorry, you can't get it, then we lose that Senate seat. No.
Yeah. Well, she's acting just on the surface of it. If her interest was in the best interest of the party, you would look at things and say, well, I'm not being effective. It's time for me to step aside. But, she's not about that. So
no, another one that needs to step aside is Mitch McConnell on that bad border bill. Mitch McConnell needs to. Yeah. He needs to not run for re-election, and he needs to step down.
And that's one of those things. What state is Mitch? I know he's in this. Is it Tennessee?
Well,
it's Kentucky.
I don't know if he is Tennessee. Is he? Isn't? I actually don't know.
I can't remember. It's somewhere. In any event.
Come on, people. You can tell us where.
I mean, somebody out there knows. Somebody look that up for us. Kentucky. It is Kentucky. Thanks, Lori. Yeah, it is Kentucky.
Okay, so Kentucky. There we go.
The voters of Kentucky got to fix that. Right.
Exactly. But he could step down as the leader of the minority. Okay, the Senate minority. He's the Senate minority leader, and he ought to. And I'll tell you, I just posted a story. Ted Cruz is calling for him to step down.
Has that
and it
ever
needs to
happened,
be.
by the way? Has anybody ever just stepped down without getting voted out?
Some have, some that
Mhm,
truly have the
mhm,
best interest of the party, they
mhm.
do.
Yeah, because this
Some do, but it doesn't happen too often, unfortunately.
yeah, I don't have a lot of faith. I mean, I should have more faith, I guess, but I just think the citizens of states who elect these people have
Yeah.
got to stop just voting people because they're an incumbent, just because they're a recognizable name. People have
But
got
then
to
again,
stop.
if you don't have a good person that can run against them, and then
Mhm,
the incumbent is, that gives them 15, 20 points just being the
mhm,
incumbent, right? So if you don't
mhm,
have somebody that actually has the funding to run against him, and that's why it's time for him to step down and go, I'm not running for reelection. We've already seen the glitches in him. And but he should step down as
mhm.
the minority leader. And yes, Pat, Harmeet Dillon. Harmeet Dillon would be a great replacement of Ronna McDaniel. I know her and I respect her so much. She would
Mhm.
have my vote.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Uh,
I was rooting for her when she was running because
mhm,
she knows the ins and outs. She's a savvy lawyer
mhm.
and she is a member of the 168. So she would just do us so well. So I
Yeah.
posted some articles there about Rana and whatnot, and some of the discussions. We'll see what happens. All right. Well, we've got a little bit of good news, and this is from the PJ Media. The World Economic Forum is saying Trump will be the death blow to global order.
Well,
And that's what I want. I want the death blow to the global
they
order. Don't you,
they
Don?
probably they don't mean that to be a positive comment, I'm sure.
No.
That's the way we take it. Absolutely. That's what we want. That's why they're so desperate. And that's why you can pretty much expect, we're not sure what the October surprise is going to be or the September surprise, or you can bet your bottom dollar this isn't going to go down peacefully. There's a lot
Yeah.
of fireworks yet to be had. So,
Yeah. So, they're saying it out loud. Oh my gosh, we can't help, let him get elected because it'll be a death to the global thing. Well, that's exactly why
mhm,
why we need it.
mhm.
Yeah.
Well,
Bring on the blow.
the real sweepstakes is going to be who are they going to run? I still don't believe it's going to be Biden. I don't know who it's going to be, but I can't believe they're going to let him be the guy in this thing.
I don't know. We're going to wait, watch, and see what happens. That's for sure. That's for
Uh,
sure.
mhm.
Hey, something else we have is, let me find it. There is Biden. This is a story from yesterday, actually, and it's PJ Media. And apparently, and due to investigative journalism, which is
Mhm.
fabulous, um, the Daily Signal, Tyler O'Neill has identified the book that the Biden administration wanted to ban. The
Mm.
book is Anyone Who Tells You Vaccines Are Safe and Effective is Lying. And it's
Oh,
by Dr. Vernon Coleman. And through public records, they've gotten
Mhm,
the memo that the
mhm.
administration was communicating with Amazon saying, drop this book. You've got to pull this book off of Amazon. But
Mhm.
the interesting part is Amazon actually pushed back on that.
Yeah, I
And
saw look at that article right now. Yeah, that's crazy, you know?
it is. And so the documents were obtained by the House Judiciary Committee and the
Mhm,
subcommittee on the weaponization of the federal government via subpoena.
mhm,
And Jim Jordan, bless Jim Jordan, he had said on X, former Twitter, on Monday in a thread that he called it the Amazon files. And
mhm,
so this is official Amazon, and the officials initially balked at
Mhm.
performing a manual intervention.
Mhm.
So, I never searched for books on that because I follow some doctors and whatnot that
Mhm.
are very smart regarding that. So very interesting. The things that these committees are bringing up that the House Judiciary Committee and the subcommittee on the weaponization of federal government, it is very interesting what they are finding out. They're doing an admirable job for the people.
Mhm. Yeah, it's funny. I was just trying to look up because I had saw a YouTube with Tucker Carlson interviewing a physician on this whole topic of COVID, and I just see now it's been removed. You gotta love these people, right?
Right. Right.
Just like that.
Absolutely.
Wow, wow,
Yeah.
yeah. Because I was going to recommend the audience take a look at this, uh, but the short version of it, I think you all find this. I just found this fascinating. I mean, so this doctor posits, think about all the ads we've seen for pharmaceuticals over the last like
Hmm.
10 years. Before roughly 1995, 2000, you never saw ads for pharmaceutical on TV, right? You just never saw them.
Yeah.
Then all of a sudden you start seeing tons of them. And on the surface, it looked like, hey, get the patients to advocate for the drug, go in and ask the doctor, put
Right.
pressure, yeah, right? But this doctor was saying that that's the well-known secret, if you will, in the industry is not really about driving drugs as much as it is about uh, capturing the news industry. So if you look at TV commercials now, something like probably 60% of them of the ads are like drug ads.
Oh, they are.
And yeah, so one of the things that these companies have done, and I think this is, if it's true, it's brilliant, and I've tended to believe it, is if the media gives a narrative, especially the news media, that's different from what they want to be communicated, well, we'll just pull your funding. Now that's powerful. Is it? That's
Yes.
the real reason they do it. Is not so much the ads. Because look at the ads. fifty
Right.
percent of them are telling you all the reasons why this drug is going to kill you.
Right. No kidding. Listen
Yeah,
to
no,
that the fast talking person on that commercial, man. Oh
right.
my gosh. Why
Well,
would you want any of them?
yeah, have the reading the package intro to you, and nobody can listen to that stuff. Have these drugs, you can't even tell what they're for unless you're in the industry. Um, and that just makes complete sense. So you look at what the news media has done. They won't tell you the truth about any of these drugs. We all know what's happened with COVID. Whatever happened is safe and effective. We know it's not effective. And increasingly, we're learning it wasn't safe either. But you're never going to hear media outlet report that. And I
Well,
suspect this is the reason why.
I will tell you, I believe it is Rob Schmidt on Newsmax, and he'll say, "So I have another commercial free episode here for you tonight." And I don't know if he's how the funding is going or if he's self-funding his own program. I don't
Mhm.
have any idea, but I just go kudos to you. Kudos to you because he's not giving in to the,
Mhm.
to that oh, hey, if you keep talking like that, we're going to pull your funding.
Mhm.
I don't know how that's all worked out, but I like it.
Mhm. Yeah. Well, you think about just the only narrative you get is one side. Clearly, these people have been paid off. But
Yeah.
it's hard to
Yeah.
hide the truth. The truth
Well,
just
it
keeps.
is. It is. Hey, I've got a couple of other just very quickly, if you didn't know, today the U.S. has killed the commander in Baghdad linked to the deadly Jordan strike. That's
Okay.
reported in the Epic Times. So I'm
Mhm.
very glad we've done one of those. It shows a picture of a mangled car. You can remember
Mhm.
when Trump had ordered a hit to kill a
Mhm.
guy, Somal, in the car. I almost said his name. Anyway, I can't think of his name. Starts with a S, and
Mhm.
so that's very good news. Take out the one who killed our three service members in Jordan and injured many, many, many others.
Mhm.
Um, and another very quick one, because I know we're at an hour already, Dawn. The
Again,
U.S. in the Epoch Times, the U.S. buys more from Mexico than China for the first time in 2 decades.
yeah.
So, just a little mention there of those two things. And you guys, thank you for being with us. It's good to end on some good news. And because you know what, all isn't lost. There's a lot of stuff going on, and we're getting attacked in many ways from all kinds of directions. But you know what? There, a lot of people are waking up to what's going on, and there is good in the world. Go look outside. I saw Lori saying she's going to miss us on Friday. She's going to the beach. That's it. Go to the beach, chill, and have a toddy. You know, be
I
happy.
am I am jealous.
Me too. Me too. I want to go to the beach.
It's time for me to go to
So
the beach too, maybe in a couple of months.
there we go. So thank you, everybody. And yes, God bless America. God bless our troops. And have a good night. And I'll be back on Friday with David.
Keep swinging, everybody. Take care now.
Thank you, Don.